Hello and welcome back to our 2022 Mediterranean Odyssey. In part 4, we're off the ship and back on the land with an extension to the Tuscan countryside. On our way to the hotel for the next 3 days, we made a quick stop in Modena to visit a manufacturer of balsamic vinegar. This is a family-owned and run business that sells balsamic vinegar manufactured on the premises. Since this is a private reserve sort of thing, quantities are limited and held to the highest standards. For a better understanding of how balsamic vinegar is made and what it means to his family, the son of the principal owner gave us a lecture.
We decided to open our house to the people. We decided to do this because we want to share our passion for our balsamic vinegar. In our product, we have two different ages. The young one, if we can call younger, it's is more than 12 years, and the old one is over 25 years. Okay. About the roof, and we are under the roof, but why? Because we need to have hot temperature in the summertime and cold temperature in the winter time. Okay. And the room we can't control obviously the temperature. Okay. And the room under the roof is the best room in the house where we have the condition. This line is my grandfather line, and this
So was this balsamic vinegar worth the wait? Absolutely. We had a chance to sample both the 12-year and 25-year-old aged balsamic vinegar, and both were excellent. So good, in fact, that we bought 2 bottles, one of the 12 and one of the 25-year-old balsamic vinegar. Back on the bus, we headed toward our hotel for the next 3 days, the Villa La Veronica. The Villa La Veronica is a beautiful estate located in the heart of Chianti. Rustic yet modernized, the rooms are spotlessly clean and spacious. The view from our room promised a lot, so after exploring the room a bit, we went outside to explore the property. And what we found was loaded with charm and stunning views. Looking out over vineyards and olive groves, other villas and even 2 castles could be seen in the distance. The hotel is actually 2 separate buildings that house 13 separate apartments accommodating 26 guests. This time they were hosting our tour group from the Viking Sea. The food that evening was from their kitchen. All of the food that evening was presented in a rustic style and was delicious and authentic. The next morning, and we were up enjoying the view once more before heading off on our bus to Florence, Italy. Here's one of the castles. Here's the other castle. And although this might look like a castle from a distance, it is actually the one blight on the landscape, an abandoned concrete factory. The road to and from La Veronica is an interesting one. It goes up the side of the mountain, turning into a rough gravel road early on as you wend your way through olive groves and vineyards. Founded in the 9th or 8th century BC, Florence was a city established by the Romans as a trading post. Many scholars attribute Florence as the birthplace of the Renaissance. Today, Florence is a city of about 330,000 people, with the entire metropolitan area boasting a population of about 1.5 million. As we had come to expect, Florence was filled with narrow streets and people. It was also unexpectedly home to the Hotel California. As we continued our walking tour, making our way ever closer to our first point of interest, the Cathedral of Florence. Beautifully intricate and ornate on the exterior, the cathedral was completed in 1436 and has been continuously open since then. Unfortunately, we could not enter the cathedral as the waiting line was about a 2.5-hour wait, with approximately 600 people standing in the square ahead of us. Bypassing the cathedral, we once again entered the narrow streets of Florence. After winding our way around a bit, we met up with one of the big deals of Florence, Dante.
E tu che sei così anima viva, partiti da codesti che son morti. Ma poi che vide ch'io non mi partiva, gridò per altra via, per altri porti, verrai a piaggia, non qui per passare. Lui è veleno, convien che ti porti. E tu cammini a lui, caro, non ti cruciare. Volsi così colà, dove si puote, ciò che si vuole, e più non ti mandare.
Grazie. Grazie. Thank you, Dante.
Grazie, Dante. As we bid goodbye to Dante and continued our walk through the narrow streets of Florence, we found that we would meet up with Dante at least 2 more times in the Piazza di la Signoria. The fountain itself sits in front of the old palace and was commissioned by Duke Medici in 1559. There's a lot of statuary and artwork around the piazza, and as in most places in Europe, much of it is under constant restoration and refurbishment. There's even a copy of Michelangelo's David. Just beyond those arches runs the River Arno, and next to the old palace is the bridge that Hitler and Mussolini walked across while cutting a deal. As we walked the streets of Florence, we had a chance to view the crown jewels of Florence laid out before you. Continuing on, we headed towards our next stop, the Basilica San Croce. The square surrounding the basilica specializes in leather and jewelry sales. The large square in front of the church is the Piazza Santa Croce. Standing guard over the basilica, we once again find famous author, poet, and philosopher Dante. The square would also be home of our lunch stop at the Casa Toscana. We enjoyed a nice caprese salad and a nice slice of lasagna with a few potatoes and a delicious panna cotta for dessert. Given free time after lunch, we decided to just wander around and take in the sights and the interesting architecture. One thing we ran into and wondered what the heck was going on with these two incredibly long lines along both sides of the street, we found that there were identical shops right across from each other serving a very appealing looking deli selection. Heading back to the River Arno in our bus, we loaded up for our trip to our dinner venue. But before dinner, our tour guide surprised us with a stop at the American Cemetery and Memorial in Florence, Italy. The 70 acres of beautiful land was deeded to the American government in perpetuity. This is one of 2 American cemeteries in Italy and one of 26 in 17 different countries, most of which are in Europe. We had the distinct honor and privilege of being a part of the flag lowering and folding ceremony that happens at the end of each day.
No. I just wanted to record a whole thing.
Everybody else, as soon as I detach it. I'm gonna fold this in half. Everybody's gonna come up to the center. Fold it in half. Now the stars are on the bottom, so you're gonna flip it.
So dinner tonight would be at the Castillo di Verrazzano. Now seems an appropriate time to beg forgiveness of any real Italian speakers out there for my very poor pronunciation and slaughter of the Italian language. The castle itself is a restaurant, vineyard, and winery. It also commercially produces olive oil and other products on the grounds. And before going to dinner, we were given a brief tour of the grounds and the wine cellars. We had great views of that other castle visible from our hotel, but as I looked about, try as I might, I could not find our hotel on the surrounding hillsides. As we moved inside, we began our cellar tour with the concentrating room, where grapes are hung, dried, and the sugars concentrated before turning into dessert wines. The large barrels of wine scattered about are the fermentation and aging barrels for the different types of wine being produced at the estates. Some of the rooms in the cellar house the private olive oil reserves, hams, and the private wine selection of the owner of the estate. But as they say, the proof is in the pudding, or in this case, the glass, and we finally moved upstairs to our dinner. More than a dinner, this was also a wine tasting where we got 3 separate reds and 2 dessert wines to sample. This was one of the best meals of the trip, and although simple, it was certainly very tasty. Leaving the castle, we returned to La Veronica, and while others partied, we just hit the sack. The next morning, and we were on the road again, this time to Siena. Siena was originally settled by the Etruscans between 900 and 600 BC. It later became a Roman fortification and city between 27 BC and 14 AD. Typical of other Tuscan cities, it sits upon a hilltop, with the older part of the city featuring narrow alleyways and streets and very interesting architecture. Siena, long known for its finance and banking, is home to the oldest continuously operating bank in the world, the Banca Monte dei Paschi, founded in 1472. Siena is another Tuscan city that is overrun by tourists, swamping its narrow and busy streets. Siena is broken up into 17 neighborhoods, originally formed as battalions to protect the city. Twice yearly, 10 of those neighborhoods are randomly selected to play host to a horse and jockey in the biannual horse race known as the Palio. But a bit more on the Palio later. Designed and completed between 1215 and 1263, the Siena Cathedral is one of the most impressive churches in town. It is also home to the Capitolini wolf. The wolf is the legendary wolf who suckled the twin founders of Rome, Romulus and Remus. The statue was in turn brought to Siena by its legendary founders, Sinuus and Accius, the sons of Remus who fled Rome after Romulus murdered his own brother, Remus. The most important square in Siena is the Piazza del Campo. This square is where thousands gather twice yearly to witness the horse race known as the Palio. 10 neighborhoods from the 17 contrade are chosen at random to represent and sponsor a horse and jockey in the Palio. The entire town is overtaken by the festivities, and the winners of the Palio are awarded a trophy, a painted banner bearing the image of the Blessed Virgin Mary, and of course, bragging rights until the next Palio occurs. After our stop at the Piazza del Campo, we stopped here for lunch. From Siena, we journeyed to San Gimignano. San Gimignano is an interesting city perched upon a hilltop in the middle of Tuscany. originally founded in the 3rd century BC by the Etruscans. Later, it was resettled and fortified by former Romans fleeing a conflict in the Roman Empire. The city was renamed San Gimignano in 450 AD. And while the city once hosted as many as 72 tower houses built by the wealthy families of San Gimignano, only 14 survive today. We made a short stop at the Chamber of Commerce, where we saw a representation of what San Gimignano might have looked like back in the day. It was here that we found another one of those incredibly long lines where everyone was queuing up. Curious to find out what was going on, we discovered the twice world gelato champion, which was interesting considering the world's best ice cream was right across the square. San Gimignano is, of course, a tourist attraction at this point, with a multitude of shops and a small population. And while the crowds sometimes make it hard to see the charm of San Gimignano, it's certainly there if you look. And so it was back to La Veronica for one more evening. Another look at the countryside and an early bedtime. Early bedtime because we had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to put the luggage out in the hallway and take a limo ride to the Florence airport the next morning for an early connecting flight to Rome. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. When you have the opportunity, we would appreciate it if you would tell your friends, tell your neighbors, and most of all, check out some of the other videos that we've already posted. We have more videos, more content coming up soon. Questions and comments are welcome, so please drop us a line and let us know how your travels have gone. I will be posting a part 5 of this trip, but it will be all about the Viking Sea and our impressions of the ship and Viking cruises.